Hi! So today I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough of the stamp album, or the albums I've been making to store some of my stamps in, and then I thought I'd show you how I make them. So this is one of my Honeydew Craft stamp storage. Now the Honeydew Craft stamps are slightly bigger than some of the other stamps, so I'll show you this one. I'll also show you the one I've been making for some of my Lavinia stamps, or it could be some of the other smaller sets, if you like. So let's just move that to one side. So just quickly, and I'll move these to one side as well. Need those in a minute. Just quickly, all I have is what I've settled on is 4 signature pages like that, and then a pocket to slot them into. And the way I've done the pockets is, rather than, one of the ways I did them before was just to use an A4 sheet and fold, make a score line about 2/3 of the way down and fold up and then glue. However, that doesn't give much stamp room, or room for the stamps. So what I'm doing instead, it does end up using a bit more card, but for this size of album, that's it's not that much more. It's a little bit more work. So instead, I've been making pockets, proper pockets, so, and then gluing those on so that I have a bit more room. And what that means is I have room for the stamp, and that settles in there nicely. But for the Diane stamp sets, I can also fit those in there. So as you can see, there's some of them have just, or most of them have just stamp sets in there. And then I've stamped the front of the pocket with what's in there. I won't do that for all of the stamp sets because I might want to change them around, but for these Honeydew Crafts, because they have standard size stamp sets, it makes it much easier. So they'll just stay in their slot. So there you go. And then what you'll also see, that's the Honeydew Craft one, and I might do it for that one as well, is on these ones I've added an inside flip page with some more stamp storage inside those. So there's one on the back as well, like that. Just move that over, not quite enough room, so there we go, like that, and that just folds in. But on these, rather than one pocket on the page, I've made 2 smaller ones, so that if I get some I have hundreds of stamps, and when I want them, okay, just bear with me and I'll get a couple of stamp sets. Right, so yeah, so I've grabbed a few of the small, I think these are A7, the All and Create A7 stamp sets, and they can just slot in like that. And then that means for like Lavinia stamps, then I can fit more into the album. So yeah, so I've done 2 pages, one each side, with the smaller, and then the rest have the bigger stamps for taller and bigger stamps. So, and this is the one I'll show how we're going to make, because I've already cut up some card ready to make it. Okay, but it's, I mean, the only difference is these are all half page pockets, whereas the one we're making has got the smaller ones. So what we need, we've got to remember all the sizes. I'll grab a ruler. So this does use quite a bit of card. So I start with, I have an A3 piece for the cover, which I cut down to so that will be cut down to about 22 centimeters or 8 3/4 inches. So, which is tricky with A3, so I sort of what I do is I put in the score lines and then I fold it over and then cut it down to 8 3/4 on the guillotine. So we'll need one of those. Then I make up the pages. Trying to remember what. No. So then we need to make up. We need to make the hinge. So this bit that holds the pages in. Let's see it better this way. Here. These. And to do that, I score it. I allow 1/4 inch between my pages. That's enough for these stamp sets. So that's the allowance here. So I make, so they have 1/4 inch. So I score 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and then 1 1/2, and then I allow another 1/4 inch, and then I do another 1/2 inch, another 1/2 inch, another 1/4 inch, and then keep doing that for so that we've got 1, 2, 3 1/4 inch sections. It's really difficult to show you. What I might do actually. Let's get my scoreboard. So we're scoring at 1/2, 1, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 3, 3 1/2, 4, 4 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 1/4, and then we're cutting it off at 5 3/4. But if you wanted to do more hinges, sections, you could carry on. So instead of cutting it at 5 3/4, you would score at 5 1/2, then 6, 6 1/2, and then carry on. So yeah, so all you need to remember is that at each end you need a 1/2 inch tab. Yeah, but this will make more sense when we've scored it. So then I will just go ahead and do all the I don't worry about the folds being the right way yet. I just want to get them so that the fold has been enforced, if you like. So, and then I'll go the other way. I just, you need, it's helpful to have the folds quite well scored. So I'll just do this. Okay, right, now we can put in our mountains and valleys. So at the 1 inch mark, I'm going to bring that up, and I'm going to enforce the mountain, if you like. So you've got a tab like that. Then at the next 1/4 inch, I'm going to make a valley, so that you've then got something that looks like that. And you're going to, that's the bit you're going to glue together. And you're going to keep doing that until you've got these in place and well scored. Okay, so your 1/4 inch gap is your valley. There you go. Right, so then you've got that. Looks like that. Make sure that's scored. And then I'm going to turn it upside down so that I've got this bit facing down, and then I'm going to put glue on the back. And then I'm going to, now you might need to hold these for a few seconds depending what glue you use. I'm using Pink Frog EVA. That's their EVA, not any PVA glue. That does fasten just a little bit quicker. Obviously, you know, use your glue of choice, but you want a decent glue. Right, and then I'm going to carry on. There we go. So that's in place. You could use, I have used, and I do sometimes use double-sided tape. You want the, again, you want the stronger tape, the red liner or ScorTape tape. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that for each of these. So I'll fast forward through that. So when you've done that, you should end up with something that looks like this. So you've got four hinges, if you like, to hold your signature pages. And then I'm going to make sure that they're well scored both ways. And I'm going to do that a couple of times. That makes it easier opening pages and flipping through your album when the pages are stuck on. So that little bit of prep now does make it easier. Right, put that to one side, because we're then going to need, make sure I've got them, we're then going to need to make up, or then make up the pages, so that I've done most of the scoring here. So I need 2 leaves, 2 pieces of card for each page. So I've got 8 here. Okay, and I'll just show you. I score at 1/2 inch. See that? To be honest, quite often I will score at 1/2 inch in from the sorry, I didn't say, these are 7 by 8 1/4, and there's 8 of those, and you score at 1/2 inch in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my folds in and then come back. Right, so I've put all the scores in. I gave you the page size, but obviously you can make these albums at whatever size you want, really. All you need to remember is you change the size of your hinge. See, that's the right size for this for this album. So you cut that down if you want to, whatever size height you want. This needs to be the same height as your pages, and you need to change the height of your album. So I make these so that I have a little gap top and bottom. You can see there's a little gap. There's a space, so there's so that there's a gap top and bottom. So that's, you know, this is just the size that works for me for this stamp set, or the size of these stamp sets. So anyway, I've done those, so those go to one side, and then we take 2 of those. And we're going to stick these together. Now I like to create a pocket in between these, so that when they're in the album, either the side or the top is open. So to do that, I will glue just down either the top and the bottom, or the bottom and the side. In this case, I like to I might do these at the top actually. The other ones I've done from the side, so I'm going to glue down the side, and I try to leave as narrow. You need fairly good glue for this, because you're not using, or you're not, you're only gluing a small section. So, oops, my glue doesn't want to go on. Right, so, and then just to make it easier, I will just, okay, and then line these up. And glue them down. And what you'll have is, just you'll have these like this, because they are going to slot onto there like that once we're ready to assemble. So put that to one side, and I'm going to do the others, and then I'll come back. so I've now got 4 leaves, pages, leaves. Okay, so we can set those to one side as well. And then pockets. So I have cut several pieces of card. I've got, I don't know, 2, how many have I got here? 1, not that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8 pockets, half pockets here, and they are cut at 4 3/4 by 7.5. If you use an A4 sheet, this is what's left over when you cut the page, and then I've cut it down to 7.5 or lengthways. 4 3/4, yeah, it should be okay. So we've got 8 of those, and we've got we've got 8 of those, and we've got 8, I think, of the smaller ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we've got 8 of the smaller ones, and these are 3.5, just under, by 7.5. And what you're going to do is, you just might be able to see I've made some score lines in these. So put those there, bring back the scoreboard. You're going to score these, both of these, at actually it's much easier, ½ inch in on each, on 3 sides. Let's put that down a bit. So you're scoring like that. And you're going to do the same for this one. Doesn't matter how big you make the pockets, you're going to score ½ inch in. Okay, I'm going to do that for all of those, and then before we score them, fold them, you're going to cut the corners off. So you're going to cut off a little triangle from each side, and then you're going to cut off each corner on the scored ends, like that. Because what you need once you've folded these is you're avoiding bulk at the corners, so you want those corners cut off so that when you fold them they're not overlapping. If you don't do that, you end up with this, with all this here, and you don't want that, so you cut those off. Okay, and then you make sure you score these folds really well. Like that. So I'm going to go away and do that for all of these, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've done all my scoring and I've got all my pockets and they're all ready to be glued on. So we will put those to one side. Then the other, this is optional. These are going to be the side folds. There's 2 pieces of A4 and I've scored them at 5 and 5 1/4, or just under 5 actually. So and I've cut them to, yeah, so it's the width of A4. I think I actually, what's the length of, yeah, okay. So these are going to be part of the inside folded pages. So, and I've got 2 of those, one inside front and one for the inside back. I'll just score those, pop those over there. Right, put those to one side because now we're going to attach our hinge to the cover, and I just need to find what I did with a piece of A3. Hold on. Okay. So I'm just going to score at 7 1/4, and 9 1/4. Okay, and then I'm going to fold one of those scores. I'm going to take it to my guillotine. I'm going to cut it down to 8 3/4. Let me just check that. Yeah, so this will be the height of my album fronting or cover. So I'll go away and do that. Okay, so I even wrote it on here to remind myself that obviously I had the piece of A3 the wrong way around. So then I'm going to do my folds. I'm going to make sure they're fairly well scored and they're scored straight. So there we go. Because if they're scored so that they're straight down here, in parallel, that will help you when putting in and lining up your pages. Otherwise, if it's like that, you're going to have pages that are like that. Okay. We're then going to, wherever I put it, yeah, we're then going to slot in our hinges. So this is scored so just so that these will fit in the spine. Okay, right, and then I'm going to glue that in there. Okay, so you're going to make sure that is well burnished, because you do not want this hinge coming off once you attach the pages and started putting things in. It will get quite heavy, so and quite often I would use strong double-sided tape for this, but I haven't got any to hand at the moment. And then I'm going to start reinforcing those folds again, because each time you do that it will make the page easier to turn, and it will also make sure all that glue is well spread. Okay, right, so we should be somewhere like this, and we're going to take our pages now, which I keep hiding. Okay, and we're going to start putting them on. And to do that, we're going to fold the flaps to the front. I would just say I have made this so that there's a little more room at the top than the bottom, just to give a bit more height to the pages. Right. So the next, one thing I haven't done is, sorry, I missed a bit out. I just like to nip these corners off. It makes it a little bit easier to sort of slot the pages on. So we're just taking off these corners. It's not essential, but it does make it a little bit easier. And then just make sure I've got the right way around. Right, so done that. I'm going to take our page, and with the side that's got the two flaps, we're going to lay that down there. We're going to pop some glue on the back of our hinge, and then we're going to line this up. Line this up, and then just do that, and then we're going to fold this over, making sure it's it's level. Because if your page is level now, it should open, and it should look aesthetically pleasing when you start inserting the other pages. Okay, so we're going to make sure that's well burnished, and then we're going to add some glue to the inside one, or to the other side. And I like to just make sure there's a little bit of glue down the top of this flap as well. And then we're going to fold that down and then burnish that. And hopefully we've got our first page in. There we go. And then we've got our pocket at the top. Okay, so you could have glued them together so that you glued the top and the bottom, and then you would have had your pocket at the side. But I've chosen to do it for this one at the top. So we take a second page, pop that down there. Add the glue to the back of the next hinge. and then we're going to slot in our second page, and we're going to just line that up with the score. Oh, just open this one up. And there we go, and then we're going to line these up at the bottom here. So, and then make sure it's relatively, hopefully if I've cut the pages right, they should, if it's level at the bottom, it should be level at the top. Okay, and then we're going to burnish that down well too. Right, and again, you down there, and just on there. Right, so I shall go on and put the other two in. And we'll be back. Right, okay, so I've put all the pages in, and yeah, they're all moving about fairly easily. So we're going to now add our front and back covers. So I just eyeball this really, where to put them. I don't want them so that they come out much further than the page, so it'll probably be about ½ inch in. There we go, and then I'll just add some glue. Oops. Don't want glue down there. Right. So just pop that about ½ inch in and about level with the front page, and then burnish. And then we can burnish our fold. Yeah. It's a bit tricky. Okay. Right, that one's in. And again, make sure you burnish that well down. Right, do the same for the back, and I'll come back. Okay, so I've done the back page, and now we're going to add our pockets. So we take, obviously if you make something like this, you'll add in whatever size pockets you want to make. You just need to allow whatever size page you have, ½ inch each side. So make it 1 inch bigger than the width of your page without the hinge, and then you can do your ½ inch scores either side, and then the height again, whatever height you want it. but allow 1/2 inch for the score. And then we're just going to glue in all these pockets, whatever configuration. I like the small ones at the front, I've decided. So I'll put 2 on one page for the small ones, and I usually do it so that it's about, so this page is 8 1/4 high, in length, height, and I usually do it so it's about just below halfway at 4 1/2, so that then I've got a little bit more height for the top pocket than the bottom pocket. So I'm going to glue in the first couple on camera, and then I'll go away and do the rest. And as I say, just make sure these are well scored. So you just glue down your sides, your tabs, line up on your page, and then burnish down. Okay, like that. I'm going to make a little mark at 4 1/2. Won't see it, so I'll put the pocket over the top of it. So, but it will just help me line the page up. Okay, and same again. Right. Just to add, if you want to stamp them, if you know what stamps you're putting in at this point, then you might want to stamp the pockets before you glue them in, because obviously it's harder to stamp on this than a nice flat surface. But you may not know what stamps you're putting in. I don't at the moment, so I'm leaving mine plain. I mean, I can also stamp afterwards, but yeah, just make sure that glue is adhered. Yep, and there we go. And then I'm going to do that for all of the pockets, and then I'll come back. Okay, so that's taken a little while, but I've finally got all my pockets in. So I've put pockets in the front covers, and then I've got pockets. Got 1/2 or 2 pockets per page on the first 2 pages. Sorry, the sun's come out, so got shadows. And then just 1 page on the last, one pocket on the last 2 pages, and then I've done the inside cover and the back cover as well. So that is our book put together. And then a couple of last bits is, if you want it to look like a book, then one thing you can do is cut a piece 8 or the height of your book by the width of your spine plus 1 inch either side, and then you can, so for instance this one is a 2-inch spine like that, and then I'm going to score it so that I score it here and here with so it's going to be about, I think it was 7 1/4 and 9 1/4. So 2 inches, allowing about an inch either side. Yeah, so we'll just do that. So I'm just going to put it at the just past the 4 by a smidgen, and then score at 5. I'm going to just check to see, because obviously once you've made your folds, so and then mark it. Tell you what, we just score it at, I'll push it back up to 4 and then I'll score it at 7. So 5, 6, now 2. Trouble is I want a smidgen more than 2 inches so that it will wrap around. Yeah, I think that will be okay. Right, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put it lengthways and then put in some, say at about, from the first fold to the second fold, you're going to put in, say about 2 inches. You're going to put in 1 score line, and then about 1/4 inch, doesn't really matter as long as fairly level, and then again similarly at 7 I'm going to put another one there and then come in about 1/4 inch and do that there. And then when you turn it over, and then what you can do, just to give it a bit of curve, it's a bit hard to show, but just curve it round something. It's not easy to do here. Let's try a metal ruler, and just to make it curve a little bit. Really hard to do on camera, but I'm just trying to put in a curve without putting in an actual fold or creasing it. So yeah, so you've got something like that, and then you're going to glue the tabs, and it's up to you really whether you glue the middle, but I would suggest not, because then you get that little bit of curvature, and it's just aesthetic. You don't need to do that. And then the last thing you'll do, if you want to decorate your album, and just to make the front and back a little bit more solid, is you'll make a square about it'll be, so you'll cut yourself, I usually use watercolour card, but it's whatever your stamping or preference is, mixed media card, but it needs to be about 7, or 7 in this case for my book, it'll be 7 by about 8.5, something like that, and that'll allow me a little bit of border around it. That I'll stamp and decorate like I've done with this one. So that's the front of that one and the back. So and then yeah, so that's how I've decided that I like storing. Certainly the Honeydew craft stamp sets. I've got a Lavinia book, so that I've put the new set in, and I've got some spare pages if I want to add to it. So yeah, and then I'll probably, because then I can adjust the size, I'll probably do that going forward. I'm not sure I'm going to do it for all my stamps, but yeah. Anyway, I hope you found this useful, and thanks for watching. Bye.